Hey Tom, just to start out, what did you guys like about Josh Palmer?
Uh, we love his strength, excellent route runner. Can really separate the top of the route very well. Strong hands, very good blocker. Has a lot of really NFL traits to him as a wide receiver, and great makeup as far as work ethic and being a pro while he's in college. Week after week after week. So play against really good competition in that conference, and stepped up each week, and then really showed the same thing at the Senior Bowl. A lot of things we saw in the fall. He did the same thing down in Mobile against some pretty good corners. So we're happy to add him.
How do you feel like he complements the receivers that you guys already have on the roster?
How does he complement them? We'll add him to the group. And like I said, he's a real NFL size, strength, route running, very good hands receiver in this league.
And then, were you? I mean, how happy were you to see Asante Samuel fall to where he? I mean, using the word fall, and you're going to point that out, but just him being there at 47, just how happy were you considering the need that you guys had at corner?
Very excited he was there. Weren't necessarily drafting for need, but yeah, just has such a great competitive spirit with how he plays, how he challenges receivers every down, run game and pass game. Really instinctive, both reading routes and finding the football, and extremely quick. Yeah, and we just think he'll fit in very well with our defensive back room, and yeah, very, very excited that we're able to select him right there.
Is he a boundary guy for you guys, or do you feel like he has some flexibility to play inside and outside?
Well, since the NFL's hashes are so much closer, there really isn't boundary in field, not like college, but he'll play wherever Brandon and Ronaldo Hill and Derek Ansley, wherever they want to put him, is where he'll go. He can go inside, outside. He can play wherever we need him to play.
Thanks.
Cam.
Hey, good evening, Tom. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, I want to ask you about Asante Samuels. You guys drafted a receiver who's over 6 feet. A lot of teams are going to that bigger receiver. What convinced you that his size? What convinced you to overlook his size? I should say.
Yeah, no, good question. Sometimes we throw around he plays bigger than his size, so we heard that a lot, from our scouts, and you do see that when he plays, but. He has all those traits and attributes you need to have at that position if you're going to be a little bit size deficient. What I mentioned before is his incredible instincts, his ability to key and diagnose routes and the football, the tempo of how he plays. Like I said, he challenges every single down. He's strong. He's built well for his size. I mean, he's a little bit on the shorter size, but he's built well. He's strong, durable. And then his athletic traits as far as his quickness and his feet, his short burst explosion, it's all there. So he has enough of those attributes that, yeah, you'd love them all to be 6', 6'1", but they all can't be that tall. But he has everything else that we look for, and some versatility there too, as far as playing inside or outside or wherever our coaches want to put him.
Thank you for that. That's a great answer. Seeing Tre McKitty had limited catches at UGA. Were you looking at him more of a blocker? Did that attract you more to picking him up because of his blocking ability?
Yeah, Cameron, you hit it right on the head. One of the best things he does is really block at the line of scrimmage. Very good size, strength, power, good feet to stay on blocks, and he likes to do it, and you can tell. And he comes from more of a pro-style offense at Georgia, so he's had to do it. That position is very hard to find in college nowadays, the guys that do it and do it well. And it's also a big part of our offense moving forward here is having a tight end that can get on the line of scrimmage and block. It's a huge part of the run game to be able to do that. And then he's also a pretty good athlete. He runs well. He's smooth. Wasn't used a lot in the passing game as you saw at Georgia. Was used a little bit more at Florida State, but still wasn't a primary receiver. So there's still some things there to work with and develop. But we think he's a very good line of scrimmage blocker. Showed that again at the Senior Bowl as well. His strength, his size, his frame is going to help us in that position group right now.
You kind of got a hidden gem, if you will, then, huh?
Well, it's funny because that position it's hard coming out of college to find players that do that. A lot of the tight ends are out in the slot and they're excellent receivers, but we do need somebody to kind of handle that role at the line of scrimmage. I hate to say it, but do some of that dirty work. That's going to be some of his job. Now, hopefully we'll get him some balls too, and he does have some athletic ability to get out in space and run, but yeah, we're happy to add him.
And finally, for me, Josh Palmer. You talked about some of the things that he did well. How do you expect him to kind of play behind Keenan or behind Mike Williams? You're not trying to put him in the slot, are you? Or excuse me.
Yeah, I think he can play outside or inside. He's played more outside there, but he has very good quickness, quick feet. He can beat press. He can separate from tight coverage. So I think he has some versatility there to be inside or outside. He's a little. I mean, you can't compare anybody to Keenan, and then he's a different style than Mike. But I do like having that receiver room, having some different styles of receivers that we can go to. But yeah, he really stood out through the whole fall. Obviously, the SEC schedule, they played a lot of games this year, so it was helpful to see him a lot. And then we saw him in the Senior Bowl, and just has a lot of key attributes we think that can work in this offense.
Him going from Canada to South Florida, that change of environment, does that impress you guys? Did you look at that? Did you notice that? Or did that impress you guys, his ability to transition well?
I'll tell you what impresses us is how St. Thomas Aquinas can find all these players. It's unbelievable, the talent they have there. I mean, it's incredible, the state of Florida in general, but St. Thomas Aquinas and players there. So, no, I mean, he played American high school football and then obviously football at Tennessee. So, but yeah, he's traveled a different road. All these kids, and they are kids, they all come in with a different journey. There's just no one way to do it. But yeah, he's got an interesting story to him. But we're excited to have him.
Thank you, Tom. Have a good evening.
You too.
Nick.
Good evening, Tom. You guys always talk about the physicalities as far as what your draftees are, but talk to me a little bit just about the character of guys like Asante Samuel Jr. and Josh Palmer. What did you guys see in them that really encouraged you to draft them beyond just the physicality?
Yeah, no, that's part of being a professional player is that intangible part, and we call it intangibles, but there are some tangible aspects you can really see. And with both those guys, their ability to compete every day just really stands out. As far as Asante at the corner position and then Josh at the receiver position, how they compete and practice. I mean, our scouts had talked about that in the meetings, how these guys practice on an everyday basis, which you have to do at this level to get better and develop. Not to mention the competition is much bigger. So, we talk about trying to find players that love to play the game. We talk about it all the time, but you have to follow through on that. And those are two guys that really fit that category.
And then as far as, having the diverse group or a group of wide receivers, including Josh Palmer now, how much do you feel like that's going to help Justin in his development coming into this season as well?
Yeah, just gives him more options, more weapons to throw to, or hand it off to. And that's a pretty deep group we have in that receiver room right now, including all these guys we had coming back. So it's a very strong group. But you need depth in this league. And I've said this yesterday when we're drafting these players, not just for opening day in 2021, but for the next 3, 4, or 5 years, hopefully. So hopefully he can add to that.
Thank you, Tom.
Joe.
Hi, Tom. How much did Palmer and McKitty's performance at the Senior Bowl maybe help elevate them on your draft board?
I don't know about elevating, but it does give you some more verification. It's a great All-Star game. Hats off to Jim Nagy, who runs that All-Star game. To do that in the middle of a pandemic, a lot of hurdles to jump through, but it was a great evaluative process for our scouts to get down to Mobile, actually talk with some players face to face. I mean, I think there was a plexiglass in between guys, but at least get a little bit of interaction with the players and then see them practice live against good caliber competition. So it was a great game this year. So yeah, it really does help us to see these players. Now, obviously those two guys you mentioned, they're SEC players, so they played against good players every week. But every piece of evaluation tape we can get helps, and to see those guys perform down there was certainly helpful. And so glad that the Senior Bowl was able to to be run as well as it was. And like I said, Jim Nagy is the director of that game and does an incredible job.
In terms of McKitty's football aptitude, he had 4 offensive coordinators, 4 different systems in 4 years. How much do you think that'll help as far as him readily picking up systems coming into the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, each system's going to be a little bit different. We have a good coaching staff here, but he's football smart, and we'll get him going for minicamp and see how far he can take it. I mean, he's a young player. We have a defined role for him that he's got a chance to earn. But he's going to have to put the work in this training camp, and we'll see how far we can take it.
And then just in terms of Asante Samuel, does he play a similar style to his dad, or can you see any of his dad's qualities in him?
Actually, yes. I mean, when I was with the Colts, we played against his dad for a long time, and he used to kill us. He picked off a lot of balls against us, and I think they show some highlights of his dad picking off a couple of balls that Peyton threw. They actually showed one of him picking out Phillip Rivers, believe it or not. The one thing that stands out between those two players, because now that I've scouted both of them, which makes me really old, Joe. The definite carryover is the instincts. I mean, his dad had just incredible instincts and feel for the position, how to play it, the route combinations, everything. Asante Samuel Jr. plays very similar to that, plays very football smart for the position.
And then just last thing from me, because Asante mentioned it, how much do you think these guys can add value on special teams? Because Asante mentioned special teams when he talked to us.
That's great. Love it. Everybody would like to have, if you can just pitch in, this is if you're a starting player. I'm not talking about him specifically, but to be at least one special team would be helpful. Maybe guys like him, maybe it's more than one. We need to be able to use some of our better players in those spots if we want to improve on special teams. So certainly in his position with his speed, his physicality, and his feel for the game, there's no doubt he'll be able to help in some area on special teams.